And now for something completely different.
All right, Metal-O-Maniacs, as you can see, the badassery continues here at Metal-O-Mania as I'm joined by my friends out of Australia, Flaming Wrekage. What's up, fellas?
Yo,
what's going on?
Thanks for having us, man.
Made my day being here, guys. Made my day, man. I'm a huge fan. Actually, I'm a huge fan of you guys, and it goes back quite a bit at this point, man. You guys been doing this thing for a minute, and I've been on top of it.
Fuck yeah. That's cool, man. Appreciate it.
I've been on you fucking guys like a spider monkey, man. So let's talk about it. Well, I guess to get things started, introduce yourselves, gentlemen. Start with you, Dave, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, I'm Dave. Play guitar and sing.
And I'm Juz. I play guitar and do windmills constantly.
Man, fuck yeah, man. Hey, you got to have a good windmill guy in the band. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And tell me who the guys are that are not here for the interview, if you don't mind, sir.
We got Locke. He plays bass, and Matt on drums.
So, yeah. And you guys formed in?
Oh, man. I mean, I guess like the idea for the band came around like 2010-ish.
Wow.
And yeah, just, you know, it was a couple of formative years there, sort of working out what the fuck we're doing. But yeah, I reckon like the last like 5 or 6 years we've been flat out like with this lineup, like touring our asses off and writing some music and stuff. So man, yeah, it's been really cool, man. But you know, you got to go through those first couple of years to figure out what the fuck's going on.
Hey man, we all mount up bruises to figure out who we are, man. I've always said that, so you know.
Yeah, that's right. I've never trusted bands that you know become successful in a couple of years. You need to be a band for a long time to figure it out first and go through some shit before anyone's even heard of you. So. Fuck
yeah, man! Blood, sweat, and tears, that shit, baby.
That's right. It. Yeah.
Well, I know in 2013, I have Catharsis. I have Catharsis right here, actually.
Oh, really?
And I think it's fantastic. For me, from Flesh to Dust, we played a majority of that on the show. I mean, back then, nobody gave a fuck about the show. But we played a lot of it because I was a fan of that as well. And now Cathedral of Bones is here, man. It's officially out as of February 25th. Let's jump on that, man. Tell me about the culmination of putting out an album, first of all, in one of the weirdest times in the goddamn world, but give me a little bit of background of what it took to bring this thing to light, if you don't mind, sir.
Just.
Yeah. So it really just started with like Dave said, just getting all of us in a room and writing for like way too long. It was really good though because we had the time to like actually put it aside and work on it. Just me and Dave sending riffs to each other constantly, and then taking it to the other boys and working it from there. And then we did a shitload of pre-pro on this album, like and it was out of just because we had the time. Like that was one really good thing that came of last year for us was like kind of taking a step back and looking at how we run the band and how we write, and we kind of restructured everything a little bit, and just having that extra time when it came to recording and preparing for the album was just the big difference, I think, in the end. Like we're all perfectionists with writing, and we just rewrote everything like a million times, but we were able to do that because we had the extra time. So in a weird way, it was a pretty productive year, even though we couldn't play live. But yeah, man, it feels really good to have this record out finally. But yeah, there's a shitload of work that went into it. But yeah, you got to do that. Yeah.
I recently had a band, Mike, as a matter of fact, from Flotsam and Jetsam, tell me that COVID, in a way, he's viewed it as almost like an iron, because everyone who was set to put out things at various times of the year, it put delays into the process, but that has allowed them to iron out things, and the things that you used to rush to release, now you've had the time to kind of marinate with it and work out the kinks. So that sounds like the case for this as well, Cathedral of Bones as well.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Like we recorded this album like 2019, so we sat on it for ages, like. And we just got to the point, you know, you've heard it too many times and you kind of start to second guess yourself a little bit. But I'm really glad that we were patient enough to wait. And the other thing that was really good was it gave us the chance to step back and think about the release strategy really well, like how we were going to go about releasing it and making sure everything was lined up to have the most effective release to put the album out. So yeah, in that regard, it was really good. It was just frustrating, just like having heard those songs so many fucking times and not having anyone else heard them. I was just dying to get it out there, but yeah, man, it was a good thing waiting in the end.
It has to feel good right? It's almost like you fucking had birth finally to get the fucking thing out into the world, right? Like, holy shit.
100%. 100%. We gave birth to this.
Yeah. Well, I'm infected by what you birthed here, man, because I got to tell you, we listen to this record all the time in the fucking studio. I just aged myself by using the word record, I know, but we listen to this over and over and over again, man. I love the fucking aggression. I love the fucking, you guys are tight as a fucking drum. I love this thing, man. That's got to kick ass when you guys are in a room together, right?
Yeah, man, for sure. It kicks even more ass live now. We're very fortunate in Australia. We've been able to play some shows. So yeah, that was another, you know, it's been a big piece, like another piece of the puzzle that's finally come together, just being able to get out there and actually play the shit live. And yeah, man, some powerful songs on there. It feels really good to be able to do that. But yeah.
Well,
sure.
I'm glad you touched on that. The world is opening. I mean, that's a huge part of our thing. Finally, I mean, a lot of people are missing shows. A lot of people have been needing shows. I need a show. I need to get into a mosh pit so fucking bad that I'm going through DTs and shit. But that is returning, man. And you guys are on the front end of that. You've been able to do that a little sooner than some of the rest of us. That's got to feel fantastic, right? Are you starting to put together legs of a tour now, or where are you kind of in the process of that?
We've done what, 4 shows now? Yeah, roughly about 4 shows now for this tour, which is great. Like, it was amazing finally getting back. The first couple of shows were still seated here in Australia, in Sydney, which was a bit odd, but you know, it's a show. So
hey, right, we'll take what we can get, right? Yeah,
exactly
like,
right.
It was weird, but like, fuck, man, after like 2 songs, you kind of just forgot about it, and also like in a weird way, it kind of made you play a bit better, or for me at least, because like everyone is just like kind of like, you know, they're in their chair and they're watching you very, very intently, so it's just like, fuck, it's all eyes on. It's not like a normal death metal show where everyone's just fucking falling over for an hour, you know, like the first 5 rows don't usually give a fuck. But in that regard, it was, I think, like, tightened us up a little bit, especially because we hadn't played at all for like, you know, a year.
Right. Well, that's pressure, man. Fuck.
Yeah, totally, man. And especially like the first show was like sold out hometown show, so we kind of had to deliver there.
Yeah, how'd it go?
Oh, it was awesome.
Really
man.
good.
It was about as rowdy as you could get for a seated gig, I reckon.
Fuck yeah.
There were broken chairs.
Yeah, some chair moshing. It was awesome.
I am picturing, see how weird, what a weird world we've made it in the last couple of years. But I'm picturing a fucking death metal show where people are sitting back like it's a goddamn, you know, like it's a orchestra concert or something. Like, yeah. Oh, I like the way he's, you know, fretting the fucking, you know, like, what the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it was a bit of a trip, but I'm very fortunate to be able to actually play just at all. And now the restrictions are starting to ease more and more every week, so we're almost back to full capacity at most venues. But it's just been tough for the venues, man. Like, I'm sure it's exactly the same over there. Like, just being closed for so long, and you know, still having to pay the bills. Like, our government hasn't been particularly helpful for like giving the music industry any help. So it's been a long road back for those guys. So we're just trying to get out to as many shows as possible, even when we're not playing, just supporting those venues, because yeah, we don't want to come back to a scene where there's nowhere to play.
Right.
So that's very important.
That's it. We're gonna look after the venues.
That is a big concern, actually. You know, honestly, before COVID, it was kind of our running mantra on the show that as our metal empire kind of rebuilds itself, you know, we're very much of the belief that metal ruled the world in the late 80s, and it's about to if it doesn't again already. But what a big part of that has been the strength of the music, obviously. That's got to be number one. Some outlets, you know, I'd like to think we're a shitty little one on that scale somewhere, but several of those. But then the venues, man, the one area I felt like we were already lacking before this was the venues. And now we've starved a lot of those out of existence even further. And I'm concerned about that. I wonder what we're going to look like a year from now, you know?
It's definitely worrying, man. Definitely worrying.
Crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, one thing is that like, it's only taken a pandemic, but people like give a fuck now about like in Australia, like now that there's like quite a few shows like popping up everywhere, it's just crazy seeing the reaction of the punters that are coming out. Like it's almost like it's taken this horrific thing that happened last year for people to realize what live music means to them.
Yeah.
And now they're coming out and like making up for lost time. You know, that people, we just got like, we played this ripping show in Melbourne the other week where like we've been doing these seated shows, as Jazz just said before, and as soon as we started, it was just like, you know, crazy town, just full circle pits. I was like, I haven't seen that for a while, and it was.
I cried a little bit on stage as soon as I saw the pit. I was like, oh my god, I'm back.
I'm gonna cry right now. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
But yeah, it just feels like, you know, people don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so they're just going to get around it. It's like while they can today, and like and shit's selling out left, right, and center as well. It's like I feel like in Australia, like it was always like a big walk up crowd, like no one bought tickets to shit, but now it's like every show is just sold out really, really quick. So people, you know, they appreciate the value of live music because after not having had it for so long. So that's a good thing that's come of it as well.
Oh man. Yeah, I fully intend to leave my first show in an ambulance, my friend. You better believe it. You know, and I'm hearing a lot of that. You know, you guys are back on stages. We're anticipating some of that. It's starting to trickle in, you know. But, yeah, I believe you've nailed something there, man. People have been so starved of it that I think they will. There's a new appreciation that we're going to see as we go forward, I hope. I think.
Yeah, man. We've been pretty fortunate on this record. Like the streaming numbers have really, really jumped up, which is really cool. And like, you know, just one person like streaming the album is just as valuable to us as someone buying it. Like if that takes us one step closer to being able to tour in a different market or just expand our fan base anywhere, like that means a shitload to us, man. So just listen to it. I don't give a fuck how you do it. If you want to buy it, that's awesome too. But, you know, I mean, I'd love it if you bought some merch because we got some really cool merch on this in support of the album as well. But yeah, man, any way you can get your hands on it, it's cool. It's more valuable for us to get our name out there, I reckon. So. What
does come next, man? I know you guys are about to probably do a full on tour as the world reopens and shit. Is that kind of really where your mindset is now? Like, let's get out in the world and start just slamming Cathedral of Bones against people's skulls, or?
Yeah, pretty much, man. We've got like a couple more dates for an Australian tour booked, and we constantly keep trying to add more and more and more because we don't want to stop playing again.
Yeah, right.
But as soon as the borders like open up, we're definitely going to look at trying to go more international again. We did Europe and Indonesia in the past. We want to hit the States soon. We want to go to Japan. We want to do everything. So the sooner we can, the better.
Man,
yeah, the more shows is better for us, man. We try and like really stack our tours usually, because you know in Australia like there's a shitload of ground to cover, like a lot of driving, and we try and hit like smaller towns on the way to the bigger cities on most tours, and that's something we're trying to really push on this tour actually, is because you know international stuff is probably off the table for a little bit longer, unfortunately. So we're just going to try and hit some uncharted waters in our own backyard. Like there's plenty of places in Australia that don't really get like many touring bands come through there very often. So we're just trying to make that a real focus on this tour, just hit those regionals and yeah, just build that fan base, man. Like it can be expensive and sometimes those venues can be a bit of a shit setup, but they're always the best stories and people really give a shit when you come there. So that's something we're trying to push on this Australian tour and hopefully into international tours in the future as well. Yeah, hopefully we can get this record overseas on this cycle, but we'll see how we go, man. As soon as someone will have us, we're fucking there.
Well, yeah, that's it. My fingers are crossed, man. You get anywhere within 300 miles of Washington, D.C., and you're going to have to deal with this fat fucker in the front row, sir. I'm telling you.
Well, man, it's funny you should say you're from Maryland. That's one of my absolute bucket list shows, Maryland Death Fest. I would love to play on that, man.
Well, there you go, man. Flaming Wrekage. Go and hit like, subscribe, pick up the album, and let's all survive a sin together.
This is Dave from Flaming Wrekage, and you're listening to Metal-O-Mania.
Panda and face the man ape!